Next, we'll move on to a question to the mid-market team. So, hello, mid-market teams. Are you buying or selling this
We are
year?
here. Yeah. So my question, I have a list of teams, right? So this is by midseason. So they might not be sellers or buyers at all right now.
I got you.
But by midseason, do you think they'll be
Yeah,
active on the trade
yeah.
market? So
Everyone's 0-0 now. Besides the Lakers, the worst team in the NBA, and the Nets, also the worst team.
exactly. So let's start off. We've already given a talk about them, the Pacers. Do you think by midseason they'll be buyers or do you think they will be sellers? They're
Buyers.
23 in the power rankings as of a week ago.
I'm gonna say they're gonna buy.
They're going to be buyers.
I'm gonna say
Okay.
they're gonna buy because I think I am buying into Rick Carlisle being such a big upgrade over Nate Bjorkgren. I mean, freaking this team last year had a mutiny over Nate Bjorkgren, and now they get Rick Carlisle, a guy who sure maybe there were some rumblings that shit wasn't so great with Luca in the end, but in general, Rick Carlisle is a top five at the least a top 10 coach in this league, and you add him to this team, it's basically like adding a star player. I mean, I think that's going to add a ton for them. And by the time we get to the trade deadline, they're going to be looking at their squad thinking, you know what, we've got a ton of good to great players, but we can also get someone else to put us over the top. Who that someone else might be, I'm not sure. Now that they've extended Malcolm Brogdon, they can't trade him for a couple months. So really, a Ben Simmons trade is probably off the table till midseason. So maybe at that time, a Ben Simmons trade is still out there. I hope not. I'm tired of talking about the guy.
Yeah.
Um, but you never know. I think in general, the Pacers would be buyers.
Yeah. So even though I think they should blow it up and try to rebuild around Sabonis. However, I do think they will be buyers when it comes to trade deadline. Next team I have, 22nd in the power rankings is the Charlotte Hornets. Do you think by
Sellers.
midseason they're going to be sellers by midseason? Gordon
Yeah,
Hayward,
but
Rozier, they're going to be on the market.
yeah, I don't know if Rozier necessarily will, but I think they'd love to trade Gordon Hayward if possible. I don't think the Hornets are necessarily going to have a great start to the season. I think by the time we get to like mid-season, they're probably like 6 or 7 games under 500, and they think, you know what, might as well get rid of a bad contract here or there. So maybe they shell out a guy like Mason Plumlee so that a guy like Kai Jones can play a little bit more. But
Sure.
in general, I think the reason why they'll be sellers is because they didn't address that center problem enough. Sure, Mason Plumlee is a nice addition. I don't think it's going to be enough for them to put them in a better position than they were last season.
For sure. I think they'll be sellers. I think they'll be open to both, but I think they should be sellers. I mean, if they had to make a trade off the top of my head, I'd say like Wiggins and Kaminga for Hayward, maybe. Man, I can see how both teams would see some value in that. Mainly the Hornets getting another rim runner, but I mean, Kaminga is essentially what Miles Turner is now. So I don't see
He
that
is a
being a
rookie.
fit,
He
but
can grow into be a lot more. So I think the Hornets are looking to culminate as much talent as possible right now. That's why they
mhm.
drafted a guy like James Bouknight who can get his own shot. Because getting bucket getters right now is a huge part of the process of a rebuild.
Right. All right, so another team. So 17th in the power rankings, the Trailblazers. Are they buying or selling by midseason?
Buying, most definitely, they're buying
Yeah.
because they're at least going to be looking at a play-in spot. And this team is trying everything they can do to keep Lillard here. They'll trade any first round pick they can to bring someone in. And
Yeah.
I don't know if they've got any more to trade on the horizon, but they could always try to upgrade marginally from the guys that they have as well.
Yeah. They should be buyers. They should be looking to upgrade in any way they can, especially if some players become more available than others. Like if somebody doesn't get an extension they don't want and they're able to make a hefty trade by trading away some players, and
Yeah.
get that some finals experience in their roster. Not that I think it'll happen, but I mean it's something to consider. I think that would really put them over the top in certain ways. Uh yeah, buyers definitely. I think they should be. So next, the Pelicans. What do you think they're doing?
I think the Pelicans will be sellers. This is a team that, to me, I think could spiral a lot out of control already. With um, they're trying to keep this Zion foot surgery stuff under the rug just so they can sell tickets. I think that shit's disgusting. But who knows how much he's going to play this year? If he misses significant time, they are not going to have a good record. Sorry if that is like a revelation to some people, but they are not going to be that good this year. So
Yeah.
not if Zion's out there. So they probably will be selling, trading a guy like Jonas Valanciunas possibly. I don't know. He might be really good for them anyways, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Trading whatever they can, I suppose. Maybe like a Josh Hart gets traded away.
Yeah, I think they'll be marginal sellers. Like I think they're gonna keep Valanciunas. I think they're gonna keep Graham. I think they're gonna keep most of the big time people you'd think of them trading. But I think it's just gonna be all the smaller guys. Like maybe Jackson Hayes gets moved for some other veteran they think that can help. Josh Hart is a big one. I think he's really likely to get traded. We'll see. I mean, I don't think it's going to be enough to make a change. I think they're ultimately going to have the same team next year, unless like I said, like maybe Damian Lillard becomes available and they trade the house for him. But outside of that, I don't see them making too many changes to this team.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to get better in the NBA, especially with the type of guys that they have. I'm a big believer that they should have just kept Lonzo Ball. They
Yeah,
obviously didn't do that. They've got a guy like Brandon Ingram who's solid, and he could always be a great trade chip to get you somebody better than him, like a Damian Lillard, if they became available. But I think that's just hoping for a lot too. You don't expect these guys like Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal to have such loyal personalities, but that's the guys they are, and these are real people, so they're not. It's not a 2K game, and we can't just move them around.
that's right. So speaking of guys moving around, all right. So we got the your team, the Timberwolves. Are they buying or selling?
Who'll be buying? Because we need a power forward. And I'll tell you what, we are not only fighting for the play-in, but we are fighting for the playoffs. My motherfucker, we are going to be so good, and every neighborhood is going to be talking about us because Anthony Edwards could possibly win MVP this year. Jaden McDaniels could possibly be an all-star in a couple of years. Carl Anthony Towns will be an all-star this year. Undoubtedly, he's going to be a at least second team All NBA, and
Wow.
he's going to put himself back in the conversation with guys like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic.
Some
And in fact,
confidence.
yeah, in fact, Malik Beasley is not going to go back to jail like some think is possible. Instead, he's going to jail your favorite teams. He's going to lock them down on defense, and he's going to show them what it's like to be the best friend, but also the enemy within it. He's going to knock them down back to hell just where they belong. And I'll tell you what, also, D'Angelo Russell is back, baby. And this time he's got a beard just like yours truly. He's got some long hair, not like me. And he's a lot better at basketball. He's got some cooler tats, but that dude, he is going to ball. He's healthy. He only played like, I don't know, 43 games last year. And this year, I'm expecting a ton out of that big three.
Yeah, I think they'll be buyers.
They'll be buying. They'll be buying, is what I'm saying in short. Short story. They're buying. I'm saying like Ben Simmons, Miles Turner. Come on down. Bring them both.
All right. Next team I got accelerated their rebuild by a lot because they were hoping they could start winning now, and they are the Mavericks, and they hit a wall last season, especially in their second star and Porzingis. So they're in some questionable space. What do you think? Are they
Well,
going to
they'll
be buyers or
be
sellers?
Well, they'll be making the playoffs. Most likely. I mean, there's no way that they won't. When you got a guy like Luca, he can drag you there. And I think by what everyone's saying, Kristaps looks like he's in good shape. Hopefully, a full offseason did him some good, and he'll be better this year. I can see them being buyers. I'm not too sure what's going to be out there for them, but I mean, they'll take anything. This team needs a lot of talent. They've got some solid guys around Luca, but they need more shooters. So if some shooting is out there, they would probably say yes, please, and thank you.
Yeah, they certainly have some cap flexibility. They have a bunch of guys on good contracts that they can move around. If they need to put together the salary for a max, they can do that without adding Kristaps or Luca in there. So I think they'll be buyers. I think
Yeah.
they should be buyers. They capitalize now. Like all things considered, Porzingis is still when he plays like a good player. He's still defends, great shooter,
Last year he
nice
didn't
offense.
defend. If you can get a healthy version that looks good and
Yeah,
resembles a little bit of what he did before, yeah, I agree. I mean, before he was a potential star. I mean, the guy that they traded for supposed to be awesome with this connection with Luca, and this is kind of the last year to make it happen before it's like kind of
yeah.
break up these two maybe.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, last year, yeah, like you said, he was injured, so defense
Yeah.
is harder to play when you're injured rather than
Yeah.
offense. But
But they both been talking shit about each other. They're known that they're not friends. So like this kind of feels like if Porzingis is going to have a great year, he needs to do it this year. Otherwise, like he's just going to be scapegoated, and they'll probably move on from him.
for sure. All right, so Grizzlies, buy or sell? Are they buying or selling by midseason? Because I have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
They're selling because they've been selling. They traded away Grayson Allen just because they didn't want to pay him $10 million per year.
Look good
Um,
too.
they've
This
been
last
talking
game,
about trading Dylan Brooks and Kyle Anderson potentially. I don't see how they could possibly be buyers because they clearly want to kick the can down the road another year or two. Let a guy like Zaire Williams mature a little bit more. John Morant come more into his own, as well as Jaren Jackson. They just gave this extension to. They want him to actually be healthy and show who he is. So I don't know how much more talent they want flooding those guys out right now, bringing in new guys to rock the boat. But I do see this team at some point making a big splash for like a star. I just don't see it happening like during this season.
okay. I got three more teams. Raptors. Are they buying? Oh, by the way, yeah, I think they'll be selling too. So Raptors, they buying or selling?
Um, Raptors, I think will be selling. I think it'll be close. I do see them as like a play on or playoff team possibly, but at the same time, I don't think they'll change things up too much. I think selling is like, maybe trading Goran Dragic or maybe someone low tier that doesn't really move the needle too much. And they might make the playoffs either way, but I don't really see them making a big trade to bring someone new in.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just gonna do it to get a little more versatility. I mean, they're so loaded on their front court with Boucher, Achua, Siakam, Anobi, Barnes. I mean, all of those guys could, if potentially, be starting caliber players, and they have five, and then five of them. So they got to figure out what to do with all those guys. I mean, they could play them off the bench, but I'd like to. I mean, this is number four pick, right? Like to see Scotty Barnes get those
Yeah.
minutes, but I mean, they're going to go to Siakam and Anobi because those guys aren't going to get benched. They've already proven to be good players. So we'll see what they choose to do. I mean, I mean, they have already a pretty good guard, borderline guard with Van Vliet, so they could go out and get a point guard or another shooting guard. Van Vliet's kind of shorter, so plus they have Gary Trent, so they have a lot of guys, and they're gonna have to figure out what to do. Maybe get a true center, but
Siakam is hurt as well to start out the season. Scotty Barnes should get a few more minutes here to start out, maybe give them a better idea of what he can give them immediately. And then maybe once Siakam's healthy, maybe they decide to trade someone at that point.
right.
I don't know. I'm really excited for a guy like OG this season. I think he's going to take a huge step. but Scotty Barnes looks really good too. And it's like, I mean, you selected him for a reason, obviously. So very interested to see what this team does. I think, yeah, diversifying themselves, maybe getting stronger at guard would be a good idea. But not sure they're ready to trade Siakam either. And I think I'd rather trade him than OG.
Really? Oh, wow. I mean, it's hard to say. We'll have to see what I think. Yeah, like you said, OG is really going to come out this season, so we're going to have to see his ceiling. Once we start to see OG's ceiling, then it'll be like Siakam, or see how good Scotty Barnes is going to be. If Scotty Barnes is going to be the player they thought they were going to draft, then maybe moving Siakam's the best move. Get a full-on center or an all-star point guard, shooting
Yeah.
guard. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the return could be greater, and OG potentially gives you more from a 3-point shooting perspective
And defense.
and defense. And I just expect him to take a bigger leap this year in terms of his averages as well, with Lowry being gone. So I think the perception on him could radically change by the end of the season.
I agree. So the Kings, they buying or selling? Because I think they're selling. I think they got a lot of guys that don't want to be there. Marvin Bagley has already come out as of today or yesterday. They're saying that they don't plan to play him on, put him in the rotation going forward, and he's pretty mad about that.
Well, you know why he's mad at that is because he has to get like 31 games to have like a higher qualifying offer. Mm-hmm. And so it's a money thing. And also, like, I'm sure he wishes he could start, but I'm sure the Kings wish that Marvin Bagley could score a right-handed layup as well. I think the Kings will be buyers because I think they'll be like optimistic. They'll be like, oh, we're 4 games out of the play-in. We haven't made the playoffs in 17 seasons. They're like, we gotta fucking go for it. So-and-so is available on the trade market that'll help us make it. So I definitely could see them being buyers, and I wouldn't blame them for it. I mean, I love the one season that we made it to the playoffs as a Timberwolves fan, even if we traded Zach LaVine for it. Yeah.
Oh, and Chris Dunn. Don't forget Chris Dunn. And
Lauri Markkanen. Yeah. Just so we could have Justin Patton and Jimmy Butler.
Great. Perfect.
Sorry, I turned it into a Timberwolves tangent again.
That's all right. So last team, are the Wizards going to be buying or are they going to be selling? Because they got a lot of pieces from that Russell Westbrook trade. So they got some assets. KCP, Harrell. They got Bertans. They got Bryant's back. They got some. Oh, and they just gave Gafford all that money. Gafford signed that extension.
Yep, 341. I think they are buyers. I think they're a team that is going to be optimistic about making the playoffs as well. And anytime you have Bradley Beal, a talent like him, if you are competitive by the trade deadline, then you have to, support him and a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie as well and try and get better. And like you said, they've got some solid pieces that they brought back in that Russell Westbrook trade. And I think maybe they could package something together for like a solid player that they could bring in.
Yeah. I think they're going to be buyers. Yeah. I think they're a pretty sneaky one to try to fit into that race for Ben Simmons, especially if things are going the way they are. I think that would be a cool thing. Nobody's considered Beal and Simmons playing together, and I think that could be a really nice pair. I think they're more complementary to each other. One's better defense, one's clearly a better shooter, and not afraid for the shot. And I think a place like Washington DC could possibly bring out that confidence Ben Simmons needs in his game.
So that could work out. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie could be decent in Philadelphia as well.
Yeah, for sure. Spencer Dinwiddie, KCP, maybe Harrell, but I mean they have Drummond, so that's not the best. Thomas Bryant you could throw in there, but I don't know about that. But maybe Kuzma.
Yeah, maybe.